Hello, I'm Police Officer Alex. Of course, my real name isn't Alex, but we'll continue with Alex from now on. Today, I'm going to tell you about what is perhaps one of the most personal and private topics. I look at Alex from 8 years ago, before he became a police officer, and I ask myself, is this me? This isn't just a career change video, it's also a story of personal transformation. Before becoming a police officer when I was 24 years old in the prime of my youth, I was a child filled with dreams, spending my days immersed in ideas and thoughts that could change the world. Let's not say I was a child, I was young. And with a rather polite and completely innocent mindset, I believed that the world could be filled with goodness and joy, and that I could achieve this. I saw the world in black and white, and at that time, my belief in justice was boundless. Because I thought, why would a person act unjustly for no reason? I thought the good always win, and the bad always get their punishment. In a study conducted by British researchers, it was acknowledged that the vast majority of police officers' professional lives significantly influence their personalities and social attitudes. In fact, these data indicate that the police profession continues after work hours and even becomes a part of their lives. When I was young, I could easily befriend anyone because it never occurred to me that they could harm me. I was very cheerful, fun, and very positive. I would help everyone I saw, but I'm not like that anymore. Maybe it's a wrong way of thinking, but now when I see a homeless person, I wonder what bad things they did in the past to end up like this. It may sound a bit harsh to you, but I'm not saying all people like this are bad. There are certainly good people among them. But these people who end up on the streets usually have a criminal history, and this really affects me. Because as I said, when I see someone in need, I think long and hard about whether or not to help them. How innocent I was back then, but at the same time, I was too foolish to see the realities of life. Perhaps the greatest skill policing has given me is an understanding of life's realities. Before, I didn't know the darkness of life. I thought the things I saw on the news were far removed from us and that such things wouldn't happen in my neighborhood or my family. But now, I am the first witness to everything I see on the news. First change. During training. When my police training first began, I experienced my first shock. For about a month, our instructors constantly trained us under difficult conditions, practically torturing us, so to speak. Of course, this wasn't to harm us, but to prepare us for police life. The goal was to test us. Would we give up or keep going? We crawled around in the dirt for hours until our pants and boots were torn to shreds. Then when night fell, we were made to run around in the cold, muddy conditions. And of course, challenging training on first aid for any emergency and how to carry and treat a friend if they are injured. But even though these parts were physically and psychologically challenging, the survival instinct also gave people pleasure. But when the classroom lessons began, these were the parts that were really psychologically challenging, because the lessons are taught using real-life examples from around the world. This leads you to think that the world is actually a terrible place. But there's no need to be afraid. Not everyone can be a hero, and you are the hero on the side of good. But the real change begins when the training ends and you enter the field, because what you experience is no longer a lesson or an assignment. It's real events, serious criminal cases, major security incidents, and complex investigations. In short, things that keep you up at night. Once someone took the last money from an old and sick woman. What a terrible thing to do. And we collected money among our friends until we found the person who took the money, and we bought him a very nice meal. Later, we decided that wasn't enough, so we collected more donations among ourselves and placed him in a nursing home. That's what makes you feel like a hero. The most noticeable change in the first year was physical, because we were physically challenged at the police academy, but we graduated very strong. But maintaining this in my professional life is very difficult, because constantly being on alert changed my body language. Now, when I walk down the street, I constantly feel the need to keep my elbows tucked in and check my weapon. My shoulders have become tense, and my gait has changed. And of course, your sleep schedule gets completely disrupted. Night shifts and shift work are very demanding. Police officers in particular age very quickly because of this. Working under such difficult conditions makes you very resilient, both mentally and psychologically. People who do sports generally think that police officers need to be very physically strong, but that's not the case. In fact, most bodybuilders think they are stronger than a police officer, but that's not the case. You may be stronger than a police officer in terms of raw strength, and there is no problem with that. But police officers are much more resilient due to both their training and their professional lives. You may be able to lift more weight than a police officer, but after 36 hours without sleep, a police officer will probably have better reflexes than you and be better able to make the right decisions. Changes in my social circle. First and foremost, my family and relatives, followed by my friends. Because now, Police Alex is a status symbol for my relatives and someone my friends need to be cautious around. To be honest, I don't get too close to people because I can't tell them everything I've experienced, known, and seen. Emotional numbing. Process. For the first 2 years, I experienced the same shock, fear, and excitement at every event I attended. But after 2 years, I just do my job at the events I attend and go to restaurants to eat. Of course, this emotional numbing starts to affect family life after a while. Problems you experience within the family start to seem insignificant, and you begin to disregard them. Naturally, this creates problems because your wife thinks you don't care about her, and your arguments start to increase. I have a suggestion on this matter. Frequently taking vacations with your family or participating in social events helps you distance yourself a bit from the psychology of policing. For me, attending stand-up shows, going to the movies, and also going to the gym are particularly important for my mental well-being. Loss of trust and suspicion. This is something you cannot escape no matter what you do, and you just have to get used to living with this thought. Because this profession makes you a suspicious person and more protective of your loved ones, whether you want to or not. I gave an example of this before when I took my child to the park. One of the biggest changes was the loss of my trust in people. I started seeing everyone with suspicion. If someone is being very kind, I think, what do they want? This skepticism spread to every area of my daily life. I even started looking at my neighbors differently. I started thinking, do they have something to hide? And living in a constant state of suspicion is very exhausting. The shift in my values. My belief in justice has been shaken. My belief that good people win, bad people lose has collapsed because good people don't always win. In fact, sometimes bad people win more. The reason for this is the laws. Sometimes, due to systemic loopholes, the expected outcomes don't materialize and the righteous become the victims. Sometimes the evidence you gather is not accepted. Sometimes the guilty go free while the innocent suffer punishment. By the nature of life, there is no such thing as absolute justice, because every person lives under different circumstances. For example, most criminals are forced to grow up in a bad family and a bad economy, and their survival instincts prevail. Of course, I'm not defending criminals here, but it's still up to society and the state to reduce people's tendency to commit crimes. Of course, we can't reduce it to zero, but we can reduce it because some people can have very difficult personalities in terms of behavioral patterns. My perspective on money has also changed. After seeing what people do for money, my respect for material values has diminished. But at the same time, I've also come to understand how important money is. Money is actually many things to a person, and I agree with them because everyone wants to live more comfortable lives. But comfort is not always happiness. Especially as social media usage increases and the luxurious lives experienced there attract people, they can do anything to achieve that life. As social media usage increases, both good and bad increase. Positive changes. Of course, it's not all bad. This job taught me a lot. My problem-solving skills improved. I learned to stay calm in times of crisis. My leadership qualities and ability to guide people grew. My ability to analyze and understand people increased tremendously. I'm now more sensitive to issues where the powerful oppress the powerless. Internal conflicts. The hardest part is experiencing internal conflicts. On the one hand, you want to trust people, but on the other, you constantly feel suspicious. On the one hand, you want to believe in justice, but on the other, you see the system failing. Sometimes I miss my old self, that naive, secure, happy Alex. But now I know the realities of life. This knowledge is sometimes a curse, sometimes a blessing. Difficulties in adapting to social life. Even our normal social activities have changed. I see my friends less often because the topics they talk about seem very mundane to me. While I deal with serious crime cases and major security incidents every day, they talk about TV series. This situation has isolated me. I can only confide in friends who work in the same profession now, because only they can understand what I'm going through. Looking to the future. 8 years later, I am a completely different person. I don't know if this transformation is complete. Perhaps it is an ongoing process. Sometimes I look at photos to see my old self. It's like a different person. This profession has matured me, but it has also worn me down. I now look at life more realistically. I don't know if this is good or bad. It's just different. Final thoughts. If you're considering becoming a police officer, know that you won't just be changing careers. Your personality, your values, your social circle, even your mood will change. Think about whether you're ready for that transformation. I don't regret it. This profession has given me a lot, but it has also taken a lot. The important thing is to make a conscious decision. If you liked this video, don't forget to click the like and share buttons. You can also share your own stories of change in the comments. In the next video, I'll be discussing being a police officer's spouse. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe.